Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, the Vols are trying to surround Nico with some outstanding players, and they are preparing for the future, no doubt. And we're going to have a bunch of players in this weekend that could be very important to the Vols, starting out with the transfer portal. All right, folks, I skipped a day yesterday. I actually went out and played golf. Now, normally, when I miss a day, it's because I'm stuck at work.
Drink it up, big boss! All right, drink it up, gambler.
But yesterday, I went out and played golf, and it was supposed to be 50 degrees and sunny. It never came close to that, except for the tail end. It was cloudy, it was windy, and it was cold as crap. And I had on 3 jackets. I had a toboggan on. Everything that I had in my bag came out, and I wore it. But anyway, it was still fun to get out there and play golf.
Got a little dippy going through the fast out here.
But anyway, I'm back on the case here, and we're going to be talking all about my Vols and your Vols. You've got Juice Wells coming into town, which surprises me a little bit. I know he's been talking to Texas, but it turns out he wanted to come talk to the Vols as well. Now, the more I thought about that, the more that kind of made sense. Now, I'm not as excited about spending a bunch of money on a wide receiver because I think we've got some really good ones, and I think we'll see that this year. But when a guy like that knocks on your door, you're going to open the door and talk to him because this guy is pretty special. He was a preseason All-American, All-SEC, and he got hurt in his first game with South Carolina, and he was out the rest of the year. Now, there were questions about the last couple of games, whether he could have played or not, but he did not. So he is going to be in town this weekend, and the Vols will probably try to get him to transfer to Tennessee, which, again, would not be my highest priority, but, man, that guy's pretty special. And the reason I think he'd want to play for the Vols is the Josh Heupel offense. He saw what happened with Jalen Hyatt, and he sees himself as kind of that level of talent, which he probably is. He's exceptionally good. His last year where he was healthy, he had like 68 catches for like almost 1,000 yards, and he's electric. I mean, he's really outstanding. He was probably their best wide receiver last year, but he didn't get to play. So, again, I can understand why Juice Wells would be so interested because he saw that catapult Jalen Hyatt to the Biletnikoff Award. And with Josh Heupel's offense and Nico as quarterback, that could be a brutal combination that would almost be unstoppable. So I totally see why they would have interest in him. So he's going to be in this weekend. We also have a very good tight end. He's from Connecticut, and we saw him in a game against us. He actually played really well. I think he had 8 or 9 catches for almost 100 yards. And that's Justin Jolly, and he is in the portal, and he's coming this weekend as well. And we've also got a tight end from Notre Dame coming. So we need a tight end. We need probably 2. You know, we've got one really good freshman who didn't get to play much this year, and that was Ethan Davis. And Ethan Davis could be exceptionally good if he can stay healthy. He's a great athlete. He's 6'5" and has got great hands and super athletic. But you can't go into the season with one tight end, especially one that's had some injury issues. So they're trying to pick up 1 or possibly 2 tight ends. And this Justin Jolly's really good. He's 6'3", 230. He's got great hands. He kind of lit up the Vol secondary a little bit for Connecticut. And they sort of exploited the middle of the field with him. So he would be a real nice matchup problem for us and would be good to have on our team. So, again, we're surrounding Nico with talented players. We're also trying to get Jordan Seatan. Now, Jordan Seatan is a 5-star offensive lineman. I've covered him for you. He is going to decide tomorrow. I've not seen a time frame on that, and I might even cover that. I don't cover a whole lot of live commitments, but sometimes I do if it's a 5-star or somebody really important and I don't have to work. And normally they like to do their commitments on Saturday, and I'm always working on Saturday. So that doesn't work out so good. So if I find out the time, I may very well do a live commitment watch. We'll see. And I'll certainly let you know by putting something out about it. But anyway, Jordan Seaton would be a great get for us. And you want to talk about protecting Nico. You know, we've already got several really good offensive linemen coming in this class, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But that's going to be one to watch for sure because that would give us 3 5-stars and at critical positions. 1 a wide receiver in Mike Matthews, 1 a defensive lineman, which I'll show you him, and then, of course, Jordan Seaton, which would be cherry on top of the cake right there for us. That would just be wonderful. And then other very interesting news, we do know that Jonathan Campbell's coming back, who's also a tackle, and I think and of course he was a starter when he wasn't hurt last year. I think he played 9 games. So Campbell's coming back. Keenan Peely, a very important linebacker who we really only got to see in 1 game, is coming back, and that guy is exceptionally good and a really good cover linebacker, and that really is going to help us because without him this year, we were really sort of a hodgepodge at linebacker, and then, of course, we got Arian Carter hurt, so we lost that speed guy, even though he's a freshman, and we were stuck struggling at linebacker. You saw that big time in the Missouri game. In the Georgia game, we just couldn't do anything at linebacker that we really needed to, and Beasley was back there kind of playing out of position, doing the best that he could. But having Keenan Peely come back is going to really help, and having Arian Carter healthy, that'll be 2 really good solid linebackers there, and then we've got a couple other guys that look good too. So, again, Campbell and Peely coming back. Cooper Mays didn't go through senior day, so I'm thinking there's a really good shot he's coming back. So that's going to be really helpful, some of those key guys. We know how important Cooper Mays was to this team, and hopefully with Nico and him, we can really go fast again. One of the things that was so disappointing about this season was how slow we were on offense and how fast we were the 2 previous years. And I think that has to do with continuity and just having the right person at QB and having Cooper Mays healthy up front. And I think we can get back to really going fast and really catching defenses off guard because we did that a lot in 21 and 22 and did that very little in 23, which was super frustrating. As far as who's going to play in the bowl game, we don't know yet. Joe might play in it. He might not. That is his hometown. He's from Florida. It would be in front of a lot of family and friends like he did last year. But here's the thing. If he gets hurt in that game, that's going to hurt his draft big time. We saw Hendon go from 1st round to 3rd round. Well, it would probably take him out of the draft if he got a significant injury. So he needs to take that into consideration. I still think he'll probably play because I think he wants to. But it's risky, and there's not a lot of upside because Iowa's got a really good defense. He's probably not going to be able to show off too much like he did the Vanderbilt game, and it would probably be better for him to leave that as the last thing they saw. And then he's going to play in the Senior Bowl, which is really going to be outstanding for him because every NFL coach and GM will be there. And I would focus on that and the combine, but, we'll see. If he plays, he plays. And if he starts, I'm sure we probably won't see Nico until the very end of the game, if at all, and we'll probably just see him next year. That would be my guess. Whereas if Joe opts out, then obviously Nico is going to start. And we'll probably know that within a number of days. But let's take a look at our 2024 rankings as far as recruiting. You start out with obviously Georgia's number 1. They're going to stay at number 1. Ohio State's number 2. They're going to stay at number 2. Nobody's going to catch these 2 programs as far as recruiting because of their average, 93.4 and 93.02. Nobody else is close to 93. So those are going to be 1 and 2. Florida State's got 23 commits, quite a few. They're in 3rd. They've got an almost 92 average, so they're in real good shape. Alabama, of course, is in really good shape at number 4. Miami will drop because their average is low and they have a ton of commits, so they're going to drop out of the top 5 for sure. Florida has already dropped out of the top 5. They went from 3 to 6. They've had a bunch of decommits on the defensive line, and they may very well lose a 5-star safety. I believe that fella's going to Texas this weekend. So if they lose him, that's going to be devastating to Florida. They really were counting on this class to kind of be Billy Napier's saving grace after really 2 poor seasons, going 6-7, 5-7. That's not going to satisfy the Florida Gators at all. They don't like losing. And then you got Oregon at 7, Oklahoma at 8. Their averages are below the Vols. We could jump those 2 pretty easily if we get enough commits. Notre Dame, we could jump them. We've got a better average. Texas has got the same average we do just about. And then Auburn is doing great. They're at 11, but their average is almost 92. Then you can see here we are with an average of 91.7. We're just shy of 92 with 20 commits. And we'll probably stop at 23 because we do have to give up a couple of scholarships this year because of the Jeremy Pruitt situation. But we don't have a lot to give up anymore. I think we've given up 19 of the 25, so we just got to give up 6 over the next few years, probably 2 a year. But I would think we'll certainly wind up in the top 10. If we get Jordan Seaton, we're going to jump big time because that would give us our 3rd 5-star, which would be absolutely outstanding. And I don't see anybody else jumping us because nobody else has got a high average as we do. Our average is really good at 91.7. But let's take a look at these commits. Number 1 is Jordan Ross, the number 1 edge player in Alabama, 5-star. He's our number one right now. I believe Jordan Seaton would probably become number one or right tied with him almost. Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver. We've talked a lot about him. Bennett Warren, a really good offensive line. That was a huge pickup for us. Guy's 6'7". He is a huge dude. And a very high 4-star, top 100. Braylon Staley, super fast wide receiver. Could be an excellent player for us. Boo Carter, who I think is underrated. That guy is lightning fast, plays safety, and I think he's going to be an immediate contributor for us. Based on the way he hits people, I think he's going to be terrific. It's just a matter of him getting comfortable in the secondary. But I think he'll play next year for sure. I don't know if he'll start or anything, but I certainly think he'll get on the field. Caleb Beasley, another cornerback that we really needed. Here's Jake Merklinger, a 4-star quarterback. I'm not real comfortable with him being our backup as a true freshman. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. Even with Nico, people were concerned the first 5 or 6 games of him getting comfortable even with live reps. So keeping Gaston Moore is going to be really important. We've got Navy Schuler behind him. But here's the thing. It's really hard to stack quarterbacks. Everybody knows Nico's going to be the starting quarterback. There's no question about that. So who are you going to bring in? You know, Brock Vandergriff or whatever went to Kentucky, of course, because he knows he can start there, which was a really good pickup by Kentucky, which is obviously what they've decided to do is just go to the transfer portal for their quarterbacks. And they continue. Their last 2 have been that, and now they're third. Which, again, that's why these teams are not going to be able to totally dominate like they've been doing over the last 10, 20 years, not only with the 12-team playoff coming in, which will give a lot more teams opportunities to win a national title, us being one of those, but you can't just stack up 4 or 5 quarterbacks the way Alabama and Georgia have done every year, because once they figure out they can't play or they're not going to play, they're gone. Goodbye. Yeah, they're going to go somewhere where they can get some dinero and get some fame and get to play. They didn't spend their whole life trying to become a quarterback or a wide receiver or whoever, and they're going to sit on a bench for somebody. In case somebody gets injured, they have a quality backup. It's not going to work that way. So I think this is really good for the players. I think it sucks when you were stuck in like second or third string and never get to play. And if you transferred, you lose a year. Whereas if a coach leaves, that's fine. He doesn't have to sit out a year. He can go take more money or do whatever he wants to do. But a player gets punished.
That's not fair.
Don't raise your voice to me.
So I really like the transfer portal. I think it's going to be much better for the players, and it's going to be better for the middle-of-the-road teams to be able to get a Brock Vandergriff, for example. You think Kentucky could have got a guy like that before the transfer portal?
No way.
They were stuck with 3-star guys. So now they got a guy that's a former 5-star that's a 4-star in the transfer portal. But anyway, we do need to hold on to some backup quarterbacks in case, in case of an injury. Then, of course, Peyton Lewis, super fast running back. Max Anderson, an offensive tackle, 4-star. Jonathan Eccles. This guy is projected as a tight end, but again, to be a true freshman. And on down the line, Edwin Spillman, very good linebacker. So we've got a really good class. I'm very pleased with it. A lot of offensive linemen, a lot of really key players, and highly ranked as well. So Heupel's doing a great job with recruiting. And if he could get Jordan Seaton tomorrow, that would be really terrific. I don't know. Here's the thing. It's either going to be us, Ohio State, or Oregon is what I'm hearing. And we have been trending. And this is a story in Volunteer Country Fan Nation by Evan Crowell. It says national experts like Tennessee's football standing with Jordan Seaton. It says Seaton's the biggest domino left on the board for the Vols. Glenn Ellerby, he would love to have him blocking for Nico. And, of course, we did a great job running the ball this season. I think we finished second in the SEC. And if we could pick up him as a tackle, man, that would be huge for us. And we've done a really good job at protecting quarterbacks too. But, again, the final group, it looks like Tennessee, Ohio State, and Oregon. The Buckeyes and the Vols have been surging in the final days. So we'll see who picks him up. But it looks very interesting. I think it's between us and Ohio State. But you know what? We'll see. It could be Oregon. We'll find out tomorrow. I wish I knew the time. If any of you folks know the time, comment it to me. I've been on Twitter. I've been all through the news, 247, all that. I can't find a time. At this time, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Eco Heating and Air. They have 3 locations, one in Lenore City, which is right next to Knoxville. They service that entire area. Jamestown, Tennessee, and Dunlap, Tennessee. Now, these folks are big-time Vols fans. And they had been watching this channel, and they reached out to me, wanted to see about sponsoring, and we discussed it and worked it out, and worked out really well. And it's really important that you take care of your HVAC, your heating and air, because if you don't, look, it's getting ready to turn cold, and you know how bad it gets in the summertime. Because if your unit goes out, it'll be 85 in your house in about 10 minutes, and nobody wants to deal with that. Well, guess what? In the wintertime, it does the opposite. It's getting ready to be under 30 degrees every night, so you'd better have your HVAC ready, that's for sure. The last thing you want is your unit to go out, and then it's 10 or 15 degrees at night. So Eco, which is known for their really fast service, they have a maintenance special right now that includes 2 visits, a 21-point inspection, and a special UV cleaner that they'll add to your unit, the type they use in hospitals, and you'll get that for free as part of their maintenance agreement. So be sure to check out Eco Heating and Air. They have great ratings, whether you check out Google or Yelp or wherever, and they take really good care of their customers. I can tell you right now, several years ago, I didn't take care of my HVAC, had to replace the whole unit, and that was $8,000. And that was back then. What do you think it would cost now? So be sure you take care of your HVAC. Don't be like me and don't be like Aunt B.
Why didn't you call the man?
I should have called the man like you said.
That's right. Call the man. All right, folks, and if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover my Vols, the SEC. You know I like to cover all kinds of things. Still watching Michigan to see what happens to that NCAA and FBI probe. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit this little button. I would appreciate it. Right over here is most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.